Three, two, one, go.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from three Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. This is season 3, episode 4, and since today is Valentine's, we can't help but talk about some of our favorite Star Wars and other nerd whimsies couples throughout the ages. If you caught our last episode, we talked about all the middle films from the original, from the films of Star Wars, and we kind of did talk about some of those main couples because they were integral relationships in those middle films. So we're not really going to talk about them. If you want to hear about what we think about Han and Leia and Kylo Ren and Rey and Anakin and Padme, you can check out our previous episode. So we're going to try and focus more on, the animated series characters or maybe characters from the books and then other romantic couples out there in nerddom. So what do we think?
Well, before we get going, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. It's the day of love, day of friendship. And what better way to talk about fake love and fake relationships than with the very real friendships between the three of us. Happy Valentine's Day. God damn it. It's such a
happy Valentine's Day.
Every day should be Valentine's Day. Very lucky to have such good friends as you guys in my life. But Nadia, do you have plans with Husbando for Valentine's?
Not really. It's on a Monday.
Or have you decided like
it's
no gifts?
It's like a Monday, so it's super random. I actually don't have a present for him, so I feel kind of bad. He actually got me already. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I like that. Yeah. He actually got me a cover for my AirPods, which I constantly drop.
Shit.
I think he hears it every time that we're recording, like the cover just falling to the ground. So he actually got me something already. I don't know if I'm getting something extra tomorrow, but we'll see.
I don't know. I have a feeling you might. I don't know anything for a fact, so don't quote me when you don't get anything. But if I were to bet, I think you will.
You were to bet.
I don't guarantee anything. I'm not a betting man, but sometimes I like to assume things. It backfires sometimes. But yeah, Valentine's Day, man. Like in the galaxy far, far away, is a very complicated holiday. I think. Based on everything we've seen in all the media, especially like you said, Nani, we talk about the middle chapters and see all the romances in the films. Romance is not a thing that I don't know if George Lucas is just bitter when he got divorced or there's just, I don't know if he just is incapable of human love. But it's troubling. It's troubling that all the relationships we've seen thus far in live action kind of don't work and end in tragedy.
Yeah, so tragic all the time.
and I mean, and we do see better, healthier relationships in the books and shows, but it feels like Lucasfilm does not want to pull the trigger and just showing a healthy relationship that's happy and can just last, because even the primo relationship that I think that most people point to as being like the best relationship in Star Wars, Hera and Kanan, right?
Yeah.
And tragically, right? Like they do create a child from the the blossom of the fruit of their love. But Kanan is taken away from Hera, so it's kind of like no one can have nice things in Star Wars. Once you have something, it must be ripped away from you because you have to be tragic. So I don't know. I'm disappointed in that sense with Star Wars. Like we were talking before the show started, I'm not a big shipper. I've never been like too much into being invested in relationships, but I do think there is a value of showing healthy relationships on screen as opposed to like showing that, relationships are just doomed to fail. Because what does that do, right, to the audience?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had any thoughts of how relationships are represented in Star Wars.
Well, I guess
Go Mo.
Well, for starters, it is very there's a critique to Star Wars relationship. I can't come up with a non-hetero cis relationship in Star Wars.
That also, yep.
Or I mean, you could argue that perhaps Hera and Kanan have like, they're different aliens species. You can have an argument for that, but let's
interspecies, but still hetero.
still bad, yes. Especially how Twi'leks are depicted, as very specifically either you're super masculine or super feminine. Doesn't seem to be like in between for Twi'leks. But apart from Hera and Kanan, there's also a lack of, and this might be due to our lack of understanding of love, but they're not healthy relationships.
Yeah.
From any, like, Han and Leia are not a healthy relationship. Obi-Wan and Satine do not have a healthy relationship. Nobody, Kylo and Rey do not have a healthy relationship. They're all, this could be blame on whoever's writing these relationships. Mostly they are probably not coming from different mindsets. They're probably just the same writers over and over again, which could be blamed to that. But there's definitely I don't know in the High Republic if that's being like changed, or there's like, okay, that's good.
Ish. It's better in terms of representation, in terms of like different types of sexualities and partnerships. I think the jury's out still on like if the relationships are healthy or not, because we haven't seen how they end or don't end. But at least in terms of representing, it's miles ahead of the shows and the live action stuff. Yes.
Okay, good. But yeah, that's my. But then again, it probably sells. It's drama. People like drama. But there's and this might just be like a general critique to all types of love that are presented. There's that they always hinge on an exchange, on the unequal exchange of power within the relationships. And rarely do you show a couple that's on equal terms, where both have that same quality and power, and not base the story on, oh, I need this person for my happiness or my fulfillment in life, versus I'm gonna share my life with this other person, and vice versa. The other person is gonna share their lives, because together they form a bigger or stronger couple. But it's always about, oh, I need you to maintain. Well, take out a little bit Hera and Kanan. They do have a healthier kind of relationship. They do show like that love that goes beyond just a couple. They do have a family. They do have like that extension of the whole ghost. So that might put them, and they do have the time to like write out through the 4 seasons or 5 seasons how this relationship evolved, and at the end you have. So maybe that's it. It's just a lack of exposure, but I'm not a fan of Star Wars relationships.
One quick question though that just popped into my head. I want to see what you guys think about it, because we do, speaking of Kanan and Hera, when we do know that that the fruit of their love is ended up in a child, which implied that they had intimate relationships at least once after they officialized their relationship status. But I do wonder if they've been traveling the galaxy for a long time in the Ghost, and they've always had feelings for each other. Do you think that they have, were friends with benefits there for half a second, or do you think that it was always platonic until they finally acknowledged that that their love for each other is more than? Because I think they did. I'm absolutely sure that there was a couple of drunken nights, so they were drinking some spatchka, and they were like, "Hey, let's see what's up."
Maybe they run into some spies at some point then.
Who knows? I was actually really surprised that they had to do the whole like DTR moment, because I had assumed from the beginning that they were a solidified couple. I just assumed that they were together and everything was happening behind the scenes, but that they were an actual couple. So when they actually end up confessing their feelings to each other, I was like, wait, so this wasn't this way from the beginning. So to me, it was really strange. I just assumed they were like married, and we're having this actual relationship, and they were, the parents of everybody on the Ghost, and it's like that family structure. So I'm gonna assume that they were together from the beginning. But it's also there's so many orphans in Star Wars. I mean, even this relationship, which was a good relationship, the kid's only gonna grow up with one parent because Kanan had to sacrifice himself to save everybody. Which is, that scene is so incredibly tragic that he gets his sight back just long enough to get a last glimpse of her as he blows up, and it made me cry. I was like, I had to stop watching the show for a couple of days. Like, I can't believe they just did this to me. This is horrible. I hate you people. But yeah, it's so kind of horrible to kids and families. I mean, Luke was kind of lucky because even though, his father's Darth Vader and his mom gave up on him because, that's what she did. He still grew up with his aunt and uncle, and Leia still grew up with a loving family that was, adoptive parents, but they still grow up in a loving environment. But then you have somebody like Rey, who was, abandoned because they didn't want her crazy, who was supposed to be their grandfather, finding her, but she still grew up completely alone in a desert planet. You have Kylo, who was like taken by Luke and then almost murdered by him. So it's like it's not kid friendly. Ezra was also, his parents were killed. I mean, it's just like all very tragic for family. So
yeah, all the healthy relationships that were killed off is Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, happy couple, dead.
Killed.
Leia's parents. Oh my god, I forgot. Bail Organa and Brea, dead.
Killed.
Killed in a planetary explosion. Ezra's parents killed by the Empires. Like, every time there's a healthy couple, we must destroy them.
It could be part of the. I mean, it could be part of the Empires. Like,
no happy couples here.
No love, no happy couples. We want fear and desperation. Only love for the supreme leader.
And even couples, like even before they actually become a couple, like Jin and Cassian Andor, like you can see that it's starting to bloom, and then boom, they get blown
really?
up
You think that they were?
I think there was something happening
the
there. Yeah,
journey?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
You felt.
I mean, I only got the vibes there, like at MAs, because I'm cold-hearted, right? But I only got the vibes at the end when they were about to die, and I thought it was more like, oh well, we're about to die. Maybe this is, let's make the best. Let's make the best of those last couple of seconds. But maybe I missed something that you saw. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that
I got some vibes there. I think we can say, because we haven't seen it, that Frog Lady and Frog Husband are happy and they have their family, and let's hope if they show up again in Mando, that they are still together and happy and with a lot of lovely frog babies. And
just retire. Yeah, I mean, as much as I want to see Frog Lady ride the Rancor and destroy everybody, because she is the true heir of Mandalore, I think. I kind of don't want her at the same time. I want her to stay happy, like in her water world.
Yeah, because probably if they bring her back, tragedy's gonna strike. Because that's what happens.
Decapitate her or something.
Oh no.
No, not okay.
But that's a good point. Frog Lady. I totally forgot about her and Frog Husband. That they are, I think, the quintessential, after Kanan and Hera, of course, but they are the quintessential healthy couple. This is true.
Yeah. And now we know that Cobb Vanth is still alive, so we can still make that and Din Djarin happen. I'm still rooting for a relationship here.
Yeah.
That will
do you
work.
think,
that after scene with Boba healing got
Yeah.
banned, it's like, okay, it's gonna happen. They already had their dates. They've had 2 dates, So.
And he was playing hard to get. He's like, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna help you. And then Din leaves, and he's like, I'm gonna help you.
I'm gonna help you. Yeah.
But do you think
boo.
that's an interesting relationship with Din? Because do you think Din goes to plays for both teams? Because in season 1 of Mando, he has like that moment with Omera, right, in the swampy planet, and it looks like he wants to settle down with her. But then he has a lot of very Brokeback Mountain moment there with Cobb Vanth in Mando season 2, and obviously Cobb Vanth reciprocates in Book of Boba, playing hard to get. So Do we think we're gonna have? I mean, this is beyond what Star Wars is ready to give us. But do we think that that there's a more complicated relationship happening here? It's an open relationship between the three of them. I mean, is this something that you guys see in those relationships? Am I crazy? We know that Lucasfilm is never going to confirm any of these things, but let's speculate. Is Din going to bat for both teams, or is he like are you guys like a Team O'Mara or Team Cobb Vanth?
Oh, but let's why not have like a poly
both.
relationship?
Mhm.
Like, have both, and also have Peli Motto helping on the side of the flag.
Peli is the master of love, and
Exactly.
I'll talk about Peli later, but yes, she's the master of love. And the thing with the poly relationship with Din, with O'Mara and Cobb Vanth is that I don't think that all the parties involved would be okay with a poly relationship. I think O'Mara is a little too. I think she might be selfish and not want to share Din. I think Cobb wouldn't care one way or the other. He's like cool with it. But so? I think Cobb, I think he rolls with it.
I was gonna say it's the other way around. I think O'Mara is gonna be like, you can fly off, go ahead, like I'll be here. I got my swamp life. It's all good.
I got a swamp life. Swamp life.
And I can see Vanth like being jealous of that, It's there's no moisture in Tatooine. Like
I could see that reversal, and that would be really funny to have it like happen that way. The only thing that I think we can everyone here can agree on is that the only person that will be confused about what's happening is Din, because Din doesn't know what's going on at any time. So he's like, it's like I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Din is the clueless one. Things happen to Din. That's love happens to Din.
Like he falls on their lips. It's like, oh wait.
Well, first you have to get him to remove the helmet again, because he is so repressed. And definitely not just sexually, just like he's just emotionally repressed. Obviously, he's grown a lot in his relationship with Grogu, and hopefully that will start to evolve. But he really needs to get laid, like really needs to get laid. So repressed
by anyone. Except Grogu.
Anyone.
By anyone. I think, and that's a good point. Grogu is the key to it, because it's like a single dad taking. Or like when you take your pet to the beach, or take your kid somewhere else to the grocery store, and it's like, oh, start getting that action that way. So maybe Grogu will be that key to help Din get laid. He's like, hey, I'm a cute kid. He's a good dad. Look at me, I'm turning out good. It's like, come on, my dad wants some company. I can't do everything for him. So come on.
You imagine like Grogu doing like mind tricks to help his dad get laid.
That would be great, because I would love to see that scene, like going to the space grocery store and Grogu like in the little space carrier thing, while the Din is just getting like space cereal and everything, and Grogu's just like, oops, to everybody.
Look over here. Look over here.
Everybody in the grocery store just following Din. Like, what the hell's happening here? It's like, Dad, you need help. You need help.
And Din being super confused and not knowing what's happening. Yep.
So
what is going on? What?
Yeah. Oh my God. Din is just an idiot. God bless him, but he's an idiot. God bless him.
It's a himbo. It's a himbo.
Yeah. That's the perfect term. Like when I found that term out on the internet, I was like, I don't know what this means. And then when I found out, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes absolute sense. It just fits him so perfectly.
Perfect.
But we can't talk about like a clueless person in love and emotionally repressed person like Din without talking about the complete opposite of that person, and that would be Peli Motto for sure. I think that she is the character that is the most who has achieved perfect love, I think. And not just because she's been in interspecies relationships and is going to date the mayordomo now, but because she takes time for herself. I think that was like the best part when she's like, I'm working on myself now.
That's true love. That is true
the
love.
most emotionally mature character we've ever seen in Star Wars. Because everyone is emotionally damaged and no one goes to therapy or takes time to think about themselves.
Self-love.
Peli.
Yeah.
But Peli's like, no, she's the master of love and the master of self-love. So kudos to Amy Sedaris for giving us the gift that is Peli. I remember when she first showed up in Mando season 1, I was a little like, I wasn't the biggest fan of her character, but it's definitely blossomed into probably the best character of the Mandoverse.
And she's like out there and proud about it, because all of these characters, like all these relationships are usually like either secret or, you know, if you're fighting it because you think it's wrong and all these things. And Peli's out there like, oh, I get around and I love myself too. I'm available.
Yep.
I get around
I'm available when I want.
When I want to be available. Yeah. Yeah. Which was so great. That whole interaction was so great.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And there was already some flirtation there with the Mayordomo already. Like right away, it's like, come here, I got your back. I'll take care of you. Come on.
I'll take care of you, baby. Come here.
Come on.
Yeah, there was like the one scene. Obviously, like they're yelling for their lives because the Rancor's there. But it's like she has a baby Yoda, and then he's like behind her, but he puts his hands on her shoulder like ever so tenderly. When I saw that, I'm like,
oh yeah.
I see. I'm like, I see what's happening. I see what's happening. You don't need to say anything else. I got it. It was like the hand touch in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, just wonderful.
Like,
you can feel the electricity. Yeah. Yes, it was there. It was there.
There was chemistry. There was like, it's like, you know, I got your back, boo. Come here. I'll fix you.
Yeah.
I like that she's the one defending him.
Yeah, love it.
She's defending.
Of course, she's the one that defended her heart and already has like that power. So
it reminds me of that. That reminds me of that interview of Keanu Reeves when he was on the Drew Barrymore show, and Drew Barrymore says like, "Oh, I'm a lover, not a fighter," and then Keanu is just like, "No, because if you're a lover, you have to be a fighter because you have to fight for what you love." And I was like, "Oh shit, Keanu, dropping some knowledge here," and that's Peli Motto. She's a fighter for her love. She's fighting for Grogu, fighting for the Mayordomo, fighting for her city. Love, baby, love. She's the true MVP.
Master of love.
Yeah, I think we just crowned our Queen of Valentine's Day. Peli Motto.
Oh yeah.
Queen of everything, honestly.
Queen of everything.
Because I was gonna mention another relationship from the Resistance, the animated show, because there is a technically healthy relationship. It's like a Tora Doza, one of the main characters, is like one of the pilots there. Her parents are in a relationship that hasn't failed and it's not doomed. I mean, it was Veniza Doza with what was the name of the father, Emmanuel Doza. The only problem with that relationship is that yes, they love each other and they're great. She used to be in the rebellion, he used to be in the empire, and they found love. So it's just like, okay, there's something cool going on there. But then the problem is that they are always apart. She's off doing things for the resistance, and he's there defending the base. It's like, yeah, you have a long distance healthy relationship, I guess. I don't know how healthy a long distance relationship can be in the long term, but it's not as engaging as Miss Peli Motto. So like, I don't know like how much we can really dig into a relationship that's not there.
Yeah, because they never see each other. So yeah, I don't know.
But again, you know, there might be some sort of technology in that galaxy that we're not aware of that can bridge the gap of long distance relationships. Right. What's
the metaverse? It exists in the Star Wars galaxy. You just put some goggles on and figure it out.
Oh wow. Well, anyway, do we think there's any other Star Wars relationships we want to talk to or talk about?
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in the comics and books.
Yeah.
But let's keep it.
You were gonna say something, Mo.
I was gonna say that we've seen the seeds of like good chemical ideas for a relationship, but they do not pan out. And the only one that really comes to mind, which I'm sad, I'm sure a lot of people are still sad, is the Poe and Finn.
Yeah.
I think Lego sort of confirmed, gave us some.
Yeah, Lego always like
influence.
throws the okay, here we go.
So who knows? Maybe there's still room for the next sequel, the new sequel. There's still, but I felt that their that relationship was robbed from, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna blame the Rise of Skywalker for that.
and I'm going to agree with you on that because there was
Mhm,
something really wonderful about them because it went far. You could tell there was chemistry there. It went far beyond friendship, and it was like really great to see it in Star Wars. Like, oh my God, they're actually going to pull the trigger on this. And then
mhm.
the Rise of Skywalker, it's all about him following Rey around, and then suddenly Poe had already been in a straight relationship, so it's like, okay, well, he
Which
could
was
have been
nothing wrong
bi
with that.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah.
but
yeah,
that
yeah.
relationship, Poe and Finn, like I really, every time that they were on screen together, you could tell that
Yeah, that's
there was
it's
love there. And then
sparkles in their eyes.
Sparkles, yeah.
yep.
But that's the upsetting thing about both Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. You can tell that there was some corporate thing. I don't know if it was Lucasfilm or if it was Disney. That's just like, no, they're straight. Show that they're straight. Because, like, I mean, as much as I love Last Jedi, when you have that kiss between Rose and Finn, it seems so out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
like see, Finn likes girls. See, he kissed a girl. And then in Rise of Skywalker, when Poe is with oh my God, I forgot her name. With the
Yeah.
other Spice Runner, Kerry Russell's character, totally forgot, blanking out. It's also kind of like, see, he's straight. Look, he likes girls and he wants to kiss her. So it's so blatant that it's just like we're gonna hetero
Yeah.
watch this, kind of force it on everybody. It's like, look, see, now Finn has another girlfriend. It's Jaina, and they're both black. So see, he can't possibly like Poe because he has two girlfriends. So it's just like, okay, Star Wars, I get it.
Yeah. And if it were a relationship that made sense, that would be another story. But it was just kind of
Mhm.
just forced and out of nowhere, and just to make that point, which kind of was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I-
it's unfortunate. Which
I
when you
think I-
see when you compare it with Star Trek, it's disappointing because Star Trek kind of it goes all in, right, with like showing like diverse relationships, but Star Wars is
Yeah.
pandering so much to the lowest common denominator of fandom. So I don't know. Hopefully it changes. It shouldn't just be relegated to books and comics, which it's great that it's there, but it should also kind of bleed out into the mainstream a little bit so that we can see that, hey, love is love and love is great and everyone deserves to have their love represented.
Yep. And it's interesting because I think the Rise of Skywalker did have a canon lesbian relationship,
Yes, they do.
uh, but in a lot of countries that scene was deleted. I mean, it was such a small scene at the end.
Yeah,
just
Really?
half a second. Yeah.
half a
And it was
second,
deleted?
and it was deleted from
Wow.
at least in like big Asian markets, it was deleted. So
That's
we
crazy.
know who Disney doesn't care about representation. Disney just cares about the money.
All about the Benjamins, unfortunately. But I mean, that's I think the power of us as consumers, though, to keep doing what we're doing with movements like the Blackout Star Wars Eclipse and all the things that fandom does. It's very positive in terms of asking for equity and positive representation in the media we consume. That's how we force companies to, start doing the actionable things to show us the things we want to see on TV or film. And we're getting there as baby steps. Obviously, it's cynical on a company's part when they do it, but it has impact when they do it for the people that are consuming it, for all the kids that feel like they have to not talk about their sexual identities or preferences at home because their parents might be conservatives or whatnot, but seeing that on screen, it's gives power because it's like, oh, I'm there and it's okay to be me. So
Yeah.
we just have to kind of keep pushing and talking about it because that's how real change happens. Lucasfilm is doing it slowly, a little more slowly than they should at this day and age, considering that, it's Star Wars, and Star Wars is always should be kind of at the forefront
Push
of
the envelope.
pushing the envelope. But Star Trek beat us to it, man, and good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
We just have to learn those lessons.
Good for them.
Unfortunately, I don't see Star Trek, so like I don't know what those
Yeah.
relationships are. I just read the articles. I'm like, good for kicking our ass. But
But even it's like they push the envelope a little bit, but then they take 2 or 3 steps back. Like,
Yeah.
say for example, like there's this great like kids show called The Owl House, and it got canceled because according to them, they didn't have like many viewers, but statistically, apparently that's not true. It just happened to be that the main character was in a non-hetero relationship, and Disney just, okay, let's cut this. Like, it's sad. So
yeah, it's not okay.
It's not okay.
No, it's not. Whew.
It's weird, especially when you look at, because a lot of people, when it's with Spider-Man, for example, Spider-Man No Way Home broke a lot of box office records, and a lot of the right-wing conservative people are just like, see, that movie's not woke and it didn't go broke. So they're like, alleging that all these forced diversity hurts films and whatnot. It's just like, well, that's not true at all, because look at Black Panther. What Black Panther did in terms of like representation, it broke all kinds of records. Same thing with Shang-Chi and stuff. So like having films that like start catering to like a different group of people is not only good for representation, it's also good for business, because people will come out to see, especially like the people that it's being represented. It's like, oh, finally I can go to the movies to see someone besides Brad Pitt. So we do that obviously for people of color. Now we need to start doing it also for the LGBTQ community. We have to go to bat for them and kind of have films that represent those groups and go out to see them when they come out, because there's no point in like those movies being made if we don't go see them and put our money there, put our money where our mouth is, so that the studios are like, oh shit, it does make money, let's keep doing it.
And it's interesting because like to them, to the idea like woke is just representing anything that's not white.
Right.
And it's like, well, we've all been consuming your crap for years. Like, and we're not complaining that, oh, you shouldn't do that. We're just saying like, hey, let's add a little bit more spice to
and some seasoning. We can't have like, we
can't
keep eating that. We can't keep eating that same bland chicken. We gotta add something to it.
At some point you gotta spice it up. You gotta go for the dog meat too. Like, that's where the flavor's at.
That's where the flavor's at.
It is.
Eat a little bit of that pork skins, salt and pepper, a little. That's the good stuff. But beyond now, it's a kind of, we're other nerd related whimsies. Besides Star Wars, what are some relationships that you guys are fond of beyond the galaxy, far, far away? I think a couple of obvious ones would be like Lord of the Rings or some of the Marvel stuff. But are there any relationships that really stand out? And are they positive, or are they still troubling as the Star Wars ones are?
Interesting. Annie, you go.
Well, recently, one of the ones that really stand up for me is Wanda and Vision. And not just because of the series, because the series was amazing, but even in the films, there was something very special about them and how they did treat each other as equals and how they had an actual healthy relationship. But obviously with everything that happens, and it ends in tragedy, of course, because everything has to always end in tragedy. And then Wanda goes into this horrible depression, and then that's when we get the series. But there's a lot of development there, and there's a lot of talk, about mental health and all these things that are usually not brought up to the forefront. So I think Marvel did something really, really good with that. And if you're interested, we talk about WandaVision and other shows, so we don't have to wait too much time on this. But they're a relationship that really stood out to me, even from even before the series came out. So that's a couple that I'm fond of. And I hope they do get their happy ending.
And that is a forward-looking couple, because I'm sure in like 20 years we're gonna have humans and androids trying to get together, and there's gonna be a bunch of bigots saying no, that's goes against all laws and against all the what's established, and people will be like, no, they are fully conscious, and if they can decide who they want to be with, who the fuck cares? So hey, that's at least we have a very future-looking relationship.
Very true. Eva, you were mentioning, and not to like go back to Star Wars, but like you said that, I just like I can't believe we didn't talk about Boba and Fennec and how disappointed I was in terms of like the show not addressing any type of additional relationship status between the two of them. They didn't change their Facebook status, which I was very upsetting to me. But I compare it in that regard, right, to the Wanda and Vision relationship in that sense, which is what you were talking about, Mo, about having relationships where the power dynamics are balanced, and no one is like on top of each other in terms of like their power over the other. And I think that was one of the interesting things about that Boba and Fennec relationship that we were reading into a bit, and we talked about a lot when we were talking with like Arzu or Tori, like everyone was like into the Bonnick thing, especially with our theory that unfortunately did not happen, maybe in season 2, of the reversal of power, where like Boba's like, hey, I want to be the house husband, and Fennec can be the daimyo. So hopefully that happens, and then keeps showing us that a relationship doesn't have to be patriarchal in that sense, where like the man is like the dominant voice and the woman can be badass but still secondary to that. So hopefully those dynamics change as the show progresses, if it continues. But anyway, that was my small parenthesis about Boba and Fennec. Because besides oh my god, Wanda and Vision, what other relationships have we seen? We have Thor and Natalie Portman. We have
Natalie Portman.
Sorry, I forgot.
Thor
Jane.
Thank you.
And we know she's coming back for Thor: Love and Thunder. So
as Lady Thor, which I'm very excited for. Tony and Pepper.
Which again ends in tragedy. Child with only one parent now.
Yep.
At least they did have like those 5 years of just being happy.
Happy and at peace.
I know.
You have also Gamora and
but Chris Pratt is a bootlicker. I want just kill Star-Lord. No one needs him. He destroyed the universe in Avengers.
I want to give a shout out to The Incredibles. They're a good couple.
Oh, right.
They are a good couple. That's very true.
They're a very good family. They have that balance of like we each know what we bring to this family and what we should do, and they keep together the whole superhero family. So
that's a good point.
Shout out to them.
And it's great because Incredibles 1 is about his midlife crisis and his crisis of identity, and then Incredibles 2 is about her crisis of identity. And at the end of both films, they're just stronger together.
I know, it's so good. Yeah,
love is great.
Those films are amazing, and I was never expecting them to be that good. I remember when they were first announced, I was like, obviously it's Pixar, it's gonna be good. But when I first saw the first one, I was like blown away. Yeah, they are some of the best superheroes out there, really.
Not to say the cliche thing, but Pixar did Fantastic Four better than Fantastic Four has done Fantastic Four so far.
Yep.
It's like the pseudo Fantastic Four, but it works.
I think another really good actual Marvel couple that we are not going to see again, because obviously, we lost Chadwick Boseman, but T'Challa and Nakia were really good.
How do you guys feel about recasting Black Panther T'Challa? I think they should recast him, frankly. Even though I feel like Chadwick was T'Challa, I feel like it's also powerful for Marvel to be like, we have to continue this character story
legacy,
for the people that believe in that character and see it move forward. So I mean, as much as I want to see Chadwick continue in that role, it's impossible, unfortunately. But I think that character is too powerful to
Yeah. Well,
not
I
be
think
around
Chadwick
anymore.
Boseman himself would be in favor of the character
Mm-hmm.
continuing because it is a very powerful, loud, important voice. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like you were saying, sometimes they think, oh, if they're representing something that isn't cis white, it won't be successful. But hell, Black Panther was
Mm-hmm.
amazing and it was successful. So I don't know. But anyway, but T'Challa and Nakia were really good because
Mm-hmm.
he was, the king, but she didn't let him get away with any of his crap.
Yeah.
So there was a good, even though he had like actual superpowers and he was the actual king, like he respected her opinion. So they were
Mm-hmm.
actually well balanced, regardless of the fact that one had powers and the other didn't. The same
She
with
changes his
Tony
mind.
and Tony and Pepper, that he had powers and she gets like powers for a bit there in the third movie, but they had a power balance there really well. She never let him get away with his bullshit. So, just
Mm-hmm.
because one is technically physically more powerful doesn't mean that they can't find balance within their
Right. Right.
relationship. So
There's
that was
different
another good one
types of
too. But
power.
mhm. So
What about Neo and Trinity?
The
yes.
thing with Neo and Trinity is that we can't talk about it without talking about Matrix Resurrections. And I really
Yep.
want to talk about that movie like in depth because like screw the haters. I've seen so much vitriol against the Matrix Resurrections for some odd reason, which I think is a lot of the same reasons that people have vitriol against the Star Wars sequels is because they have some ownership of the original films and they think it means something in their head that it doesn't, and they just project into the film. And I think Matrix Resurrection was beautiful in terms of furthering the relationship of Neo and Trinity. And that movie did exactly what I wanted it to do for that relationship.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it because when we were doing our retrospective on The Matrix and we were talking about their relationship and then talking about the trailer, we were mentioning how that relationship kind of fails a little bit because of how
It's
it should have
treated
been
in
more
the second
balanced
and third
between
one. Yeah.
Trinity and
Hmm.
Neo. And I think that Matrix Resurrection. Mo, have you been? Were you able to see
Yeah,
Resurrections?
not yet, not yet.
When you see it, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
I'm just like overhyping it in my mind, but for me, Matrix Resurrection is like, boom, this is what I wanted. This is the Matrix sequel I wanted. How did you feel
Well,
about their relationship, Nani?
oh yeah, it was exactly what I wanted because when we talked about the first film, and we kind of avoided 2 and 3 because there's a lot of that I don't like from 2 and 3, and one of the reasons
Mm-hmm.
that really pissed me off about 2 and 3 is that they completely disjoint the balance that was established between them in that first film,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of make Trinity lesser and below Neo, and that just really really upset me. So what happened in Resurrections for me was fantastic. So we're not going to spoil
Mm-hmm.
it, well, but I think it's worth a watch. So even if only for how it develops their relationship and brings back that balance between those two characters. So
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's good to see like it's in a lot of films. I mean, especially when we look at the relationship we've talked about in Marvel, maybe not Wanda and Vision so much, but a lot of the other ones, they feel sort of like cliche relationships in terms of like how they're represented in films. It's like, well, they're supposed to like each other and they're supposed to have like goo goo doll eyes for each other and like have the passionate kiss, whatever. It feels very like scripted, for lack of a better word, even though it obviously is because those films have scripts. But you know what I'm getting at.
uh-huh.
But in the Matrix, like you can feel that they love each other. It's like it's a relationship. They, in Matrix Reloaded, they're like, we need to fuck. It's just
Yeah.
in the first Matrix, it's just like they're refusing the attraction to each other until like at the end, it's just like, no, I have to kiss this guy, and sparks fly everywhere. So it's like it's cheesy to an extent, but you can feel love there, and it's like very tangible and very honest and very vulnerable in a lot of ways that some movies, big franchises, don't show as much. And I think that's especially special in Matrix Resurrections, that vulnerability and that uh, acknowledgement of their love for one another. So like I love that relationship, especially because of Matrix Resurrections.
Hey, it's Lana Wachowski.
them.
What can you say?
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, Mo. To your question
Yes.
about Neo and Trinity. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I think we should also give a shout out. And this might not be too nerd, but a lot of us did grew up with the Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy.
Yes.
That's an abusive relationship. Come on.
That is an abusive relationship.
That is definitely an abusive relationship.
You can tell that
It's not easy being green. You can tell.
No.
Being green.
That poor Kermit's getting beat the shit by Miss Piggy.
He's probably a cock. You know that that Miss Piggy, you know, I don't know. I mean, good for Miss Piggy if she's getting.
We all know
Miss
Piggy's Yoda. That's
yeah. This is true. This is true. Frank Oz, puppeteer and voice of Miss Piggy, which is kind of weird when you look at it. It's just like, not knowing that, it's just like that's Yoda talking out of Miss Piggy's. You know.
Well, I mean, maybe she's a dom and he's a submissive, and it works.
Yeah.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I don't see any joy in Kermit's eyes when Miss Piggy's abusing him. So that's why I'm a little dubious about him. Because if he were an actual sub,
50 Shades of Grey before 50
he'll be into it. He's like, yeah, it's like spit in my face some more. But I don't know. I don't know what the mechanics of puppet relationships are. So maybe I'm projecting too much human emotions into it. It's just different.
I mean, it's a frog and a pig. Come on, like
made of fabric. Yeah,
made of fabric.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be quite an intriguing relationship.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I don't know what else to say about Miss Piggy. That was a curveball you just threw at me.
Yeah, that was a curveball. Yeah.
I was expecting you to say like Erwin and Faramir or something, but not Miss Piggy. Not Miss Piggy.
Well, I mean, and if we're talking about children's show, you have to go then to Sesame Street, and you have Bert and Ernie, who are definitely have been in a relationship for decades.
This is true. I never got into Sesame Street. I was more into Muppet Babies personally.
Muppet Babies.
That was my jam. Sesame Street. It was too
educational,
sanitized for me. Yeah, sanitized for me. No. But yeah, I've seen the mythical. Well, not just them, but also like the two old guys from Muppet are from
Muppets.
The Muppets.
Yeah.
You know, I'm mixing my
again. Sesame Street was it is and always has been above its time.
Yeah,
that's why Republicans want to cancel funding for PBS. It's like, no, we can't have progressive things that teach things to children.
Crazy.
Look at Florida trying to ban.
What is it? What was it like? Banning saying gay or something? If it means.
Well, it's more. That's like the slogan they're using, but it's more like banning all sorts of education related to any sexual differences, any gender differences, anything that threatens the white man's
right. Which is such a weird thing not weird. It makes total sense with their agenda. But it's, when you look at, and let's talk about like just straight relationships right now. Schools that don't offer like appropriate sex education programs and just offer abstinence as a choice, right?
That clearly does not work. Yep.
That does not work. And pregnancies just spike and it just creates a fucking shit show for relationships and children and all those type of things. But when you have programs that are inclusive about the different options that there are, that offer like condoms for children for teenagers that will, because they will, I don't care how religious you are, you will engage in sexual congress at some point. And
it's sad also because it makes these teenagers like repressed and hate their bodies and ashamed of sex and all these things when it's like, what is more natural than sex? I mean, and all you teach them is, you just have to be abstinent. And then they don't know what an actual healthy sexual relationship is.
And it's the double standard too, because it's like, you have to be abstinent. But, if you're a guy and you slept with a bunch of people, oh, that's okay. If you're
Yeah.
female and you slept, oh, you're a whore. You're like looking for it. Like it's the double standard all across.
Damaged goods.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's all very, very ridiculous.
So, and it bleeds, right? Because same thing, we're showing like the harm that like not giving appropriate sex education to like straight cis children. Should be, in my mind, like that much more catastrophic for like children of LGBTQ children to like have that even more repressed to them. Statistics show, right, that a lot of these actions make kids commit suicide at higher rates than they would have already, when being placed in families that don't accept them and whatnot. So like having programs that, that help them is important, because we all need love and we all need to have healthy love. And everyone is entitled to that, man. I don't know.
And on that note, I highly, highly recommend watching the show Sex Education. If you haven't got around to it, it's on Netflix and it's fantastic. And it's Gillian Anderson being a sex therapist, and her son is a teenager in high school. And then he starts giving the kids at the school advice about sex education, and it handles a lot of representation in different kinds of sexuality. And it's hilarious and beautiful, and it makes you laugh and cry, and it's really well done. So I really, really recommend it. I think there's like 2 or 3 seasons out, and it keeps getting better and better. So I would recommend that. And for more representation, more adults, I also recommend Sense8. I will recommend that to anybody who wants to watch it. It got cut short towards the end because they canceled it, even though it was doing really well.
Because it was too.
Yeah, it was too out there, because there's a lot of different representations, sex, gender, and different types of relationship and orgies, and but it's done through a beautiful, beautiful lens. It's hot, it's sexy.
It's a very beautiful lens. Like it's not
it's a beautiful thing. Like, it was also created by the
Brazzers.
It's not.
Yeah, it's hot and sexy and explicit, but it's treated beautifully. It's not shot like porn. It's really, really good. Yeah. And I mean, it was created by the Wachowski sisters. They know what they're doing. So if you haven't watched Sense8, Netflix, watch it. It's definitely fantastic. That's definitely a shout out to love. I rewatched the whole series recently, and it's so good.
It is good. It is so good. I'm so sad that they squandered the finale with just 2 hours to wrap everything up.
Because it was canceled, and then it was canceled point blank, and then because the fans made such an outcry, they allowed them to have like that 2-hour finale, because otherwise we wouldn't have gotten anything. And then the problem is, because you only have 2 hours to wrap it up, it feels incomplete. Like they are still able to do it in a very beautiful way, but there were a lot of storylines that were still left there to explore. And we're gonna, it diminishes when you try to get something beautiful out and people actually love it, but then it's too out there, so we have to cancel it. Doesn't make any sense. So
it's unfortunate.
And then people complain about cancel culture. Come on, you've been canceled. Everything that sort of touches your sensitivity
out there. Yeah.
I mean, the double standards obvious. It's just cancel culture only exists when you're canceling, and I use that with big quotations for everyone that's listening, because cancel culture doesn't exist. But the people that complain about cancel culture use the same tactics for the things that they don't like. And like you guys were both saying, cancel culture only exists when you're the corporation and you just start, systematically and actively destroying all these like works that are taking progressive stances. Let's look at Star Wars. Star Wars is actively engaged in cancel culture by not allowing LGBTQ representation on screen. Same thing with Netflix by canceling Sense8. That's cancel culture. Yeah, when consumers don't buy something, that's just a consumer not buying something. That's not canceling. It's just like, so am I canceling Samsung by not buying their phones? No, I just made a decision as a consumer to buy
something else
thing that I want to buy. And it's the same thing for the media we consume. If you don't want to consume it, you're not canceling it, you just don't want to consume it. So all these people bitching and whining about cancel culture are the biggest snowflakes. They like to say that
they are the
liberals are the snowflakes, but they are those goddamn snowflakes.
Oh, goddamn, it's like that's. I love it, like the saying in Spanish, bolita blanca, bolita azul, todo lo que diga eres tú. Like whoever's usually saying things, they're the ones that are whining about. So
Yep.
With that, I think that's a fantastic place to kind of like put a pause to the conversation, and because love is love, and snowflakes are the people who claim that snowflakes are the actual snowflakes. It's a wonderful time to end. This is a good recommendation from Nani and Mo of some shows to like check out. So I don't know if anyone like had any like final thoughts on relationships in Star Wars and relationships in general, or Valentine's Day as a whole. The floor is yours now before we wrap up. What do you think about love?
love is the greatest force in the universe that we know yet so far.
Mhm.
But
But
Valentine's Day is a corporate
Yeah.
BS. You should celebrate love every single day of your life.
Agreed.
And there has to be, and there's a shout out for all creators, everybody out there. We have to follow more Peli Motto's advice. Self-love is the start to true love. If you don't love yourself, you're never gonna be able to love another one. So, and maybe that's what you all are feeling. You know, everybody on the every snowflake is just feeling like they're not loved, and start with that. Start loving yourself, accepting
Exactly.
yourself.
Maybe you'll
And
have
then
less hate in your heart.
Realize that as a snowflake, you are unique, and you
are
deserve
unique.
appreciation.
And that is beautiful, and that makes you beautiful. But learn to love yourself, and then you see how easy it is to love others.
And then hate a little less. I agree with Mo. Valentine's Day is just a chance for a lot of companies to make money. Cards, flowers,
discounted
chocolates.
chocolate at Walgreens.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a nice reminder, to talk about love and, and all different kinds of love. You don't have to be in a relationship to love, friends and families and everybody. There's all different kinds of love. You can't make Valentine's Day only about couples, because then the people that are single and everything feel like rejected by the day.
Like they're not worthy of love.
Yeah. Which is ridiculous. Just because you're not with somebody doesn't mean that you're alone and you don't love other people around you. Sometimes you just want to love yourself. Sometimes there's nobody out there at the time that you want to be with. So sometimes you don't have to be with somebody.
Sometimes the only person that deserves love is yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's better to be alone. Como mejor solo que mal
acompañado.
Yep.
It's better to be by yourself sometimes than with bad company.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then don't go into relationships just because you feel, oh, I need to. Like, that's not how it works. That's how you end up with toxic relationships,
Yep.
Correct.
Shouldn't stay in any relationship because you feel obligated to the other person. That's not fair for them, not fair for yourself. Always, strive for positivity and constructive relationship that's based on mutual trust and respect. If it's not working out, it's like we said, it's better just be alone. You're not doing the other person any favors by pretending to be with them either. So
absolutely not.
Love is love, man. It's complicated, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It
so on that note,
unifying emotion.
A shout out to El Josbando, who is an amazing partner, and I love him so much, and he loves our podcast as well. I think he's our biggest fan, our number one fan. He listens to every single episode, and and he's our IT department as well. So, but when you do find a person that's worthy and who loves you and you love too, you don't have to hide from it either. So if there's somebody out there that you love or attracted to and you're afraid, take that step. You never know.
Yeah. Don't be like
the road not
taken.
Take is the worst one. Yep. So love is love. All kinds of love is beautiful. And especially just love yourself. Don't be ashamed to be who you are. So we are Triad of the Force. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Leave us a like, a comment. Let us know what you think about this corporate holiday, but also about what you think about love and all the beautiful thing that the media that we have out there that does do well for love, even though Star Wars and a lot of the superhero stuff treat it tragically. There's a lot of actual good stuff out there too. Just remember, you can find us wherever podcasts can be found. Just search Triad of the Force and you will find us. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, may the Force be with you.